Merry Christmas, guys. Ho, ho, ho. We are Morbid Curiosities, bringing you another episode. A Christmas episode, you could say. I'm Nicholas Ewers, and with me is the lightweight champion of the world, the morbid mistress of mayhem herself.
Mercedes Martinez. What's up, guys? Are you ready to go back into Christmas, Nicholas? Because I'm not.
I'm ready. Yeah, let's skip over everything else and go straight to Christmas for a little bit. We've been living in Halloween since we started this podcast.
Every day is Halloween. That's the way to be. But I guess, we can make an exception for this because we are still living with Art the Clown here. And he's still up to some crazy fuckery here. So let's get into it.
Yeah, dude, every week feels like Halloween because of this podcast and watching the movie that we watched today, Terrifier 3, which, guys, spoilers ahead for T3, or as I like to call it, T3 Rise of the Machines. Um, this movie, watching it, I just had a moment where I was like, what the fuck am I watching? What am I doing? Like the level of gore that I was experiencing. I won't talk about where I watched the movie for part of the day. I was telling Mercedes though, so she's aware. But I was like just thinking like what have I amounted to?
This is a wrong place and time for that.
Yeah, just a very public place watching Terrifier 3, some of the most obscene shit, almost gagging. Oh god. Where did you watch this movie? At your home in a normal place?
Yeah, but for some fucking reason, I was still watching it when I was eating. It never fails. And again, I think it was because the first time when I watched it, I was just preparing myself to look away at majority of the scenes. I didn't want to see the gore fest going on. And this time around, I was thinking I could do it. I could watch it all. Or I just forgot certain details of a scene. So I'm like taking a bite of my food and I look up and I just see someone's face is sliced open or chopped open. I create these rules and then I don't follow them. Just don't listen to me, guys. I'm just here. This is Nick's show. I'm just here as background noise.
If the one rule you followed led you to this, then of what use was the rule?
Exactly.
Th- It's a quote from No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I had a similar thought before putting this movie on. This was the only one I had seen before we embarked on this season for the podcast. But I was thinking to myself, the kills are pretty tame in Terrifier 3. I could get through it with eating potentially, or get through it while eating potentially. I I think it's doable. It doesn't go as hard as the other ones do. And rewatching it this time, I was dead wrong. This movie goes hard as fuck. This movie has some of the hardest scenes to watch. Like scenes where I fully had to look away. It's insane how crazy these movies are and that we're subjecting ourselves to this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back into who had the worst death in here, either on screen or off screen. Once we get into more of the details, because there was one scene in particular that I completely missed the first time around watching it. So watching it this time, what the fuck did I just watch? It's insane.
Who had the worst death is honestly a great idea because when you said that, my mind jumped to one in particular, but then immediately after there were two and three more that came up where I was thinking, yeah, those are pretty awful too. I don't know which one I would want to have happen to myself. I think I could narrow it down though.
And that's what's cool about Art the Clown because he is unpredictable and all the death scenes in here, even though a lot of them are so over the top and just highly exaggerated, you're just watching them and it makes you cringe, it makes you uncomfortable. You're just like, damn, like you said, like I don't want to be in a situation like that, or would I want this death over this death? Like, could I handle this one? No, all of these they're pretty fucked up.
Dude, this movie actually made me gag at times. I
What parts?
can't I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I can't right now. As we talk about it, I think I'll be able to place it, but, um, the only other movie I can think of that made me actively gag while I was watching it was, Jackass 3, this part
Oh
where
God.
the bigger dude is on the elliptical and they get the sweat from his ass and Steve-O drinks it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the scene that I happened to just not wanna fuck with those movies because I didn't watch all of them. I think it was my brother watching it, one time, and when I saw that part, I fucking threw up, and I'm like, "Nope, never again, not watching this,"
That
so
same part,
exactly that same part.
it's so bad, man. It's so bad, and this movie those are the only 2 Terrifier, man, you guys are nailing it. Oh, fuck. This movie's so goddamn effective. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I guess let's get into it. Do you wanna take us away on Terrifier 3? Your thoughts on this Christmas classic?
So it's always hard for me to watch Christmas movies because, again, I love Halloween, but having art dressed up in a Santa suit is very fucking amusing, because it just adds to more of his playful demeanor. So you have this house. It's a night in December. This little girl, she wakes up her mom saying, "Oh, there's someone on the roof." And this part was funny because while the mom is trying to console the daughter to, just go back to sleep, we'll put out milk and cookies for Santa and his elves or whatever. She goes back and sees that the downstairs door is open. It's not just like unlocked, it is open. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was just my first issue because she just closes it like nothing, doesn't think anything of it. She just blames her husband, like, "Oh, you forgot to lock the door, you're not concerned with our safety." And this dude is trying so hard to stay asleep or just to go back to sleep because he has work in a few hours. I felt for that man. I really
Yeah,
did.
she has a good point, though. He isn't concerned about their safety in that moment because
Well, neither was she because if you found the door unlocked and open, go look around your house to make sure no one broke in or get your fucking family out of there. Fuck that. No.
yeah, both of them should be more alert and on guard in this moment. He should have woken up more, and she should have stopped pointing the finger at him, and they both should have done something.
Yeah, that was funny because my husband was watching this and he was getting so pissed off. He's like, "This poor fucking guy. He has to get up for work in a few hours and all she's doing is nagging him." That was amusing on its own, but yeah, so then the little girl, she ends up waking up and she sees quote unquote Santa downstairs, and um you see that it is art because he grabs, what was it, an axe that he had for his initial weapon. Yeah. So
Yeah, and it's the most, like, intense, almost rusty looking axe. It just looks fucking awful when he grabs it out.
and that's what's gross. All the weapons that he grabs, aside from firearms, they're old and rusty, and that just makes those wounds that he inflicts cut deeper in your soul because you're just thinking, not only did he pretty much cut off someone's limbs, but it's all rusty, so now they have all this fucking like bacteria in them too. I'm just thinking all the dumb
Yeah.
shit. It's gross to think about, especially because then the blades are dull, so that makes it that much harder to, slice and dice these people.
Yeah, now they gotta go get a tetanus shot on top of all of this.
If they live, yeah, exactly. Exactly my point.
M Very few people there's only 3 characters I can really think of that live at the hand of that survive by heart 3
Heart.
characters I can think of that survive by the hand of art.
Does
Uh,
he have your heart,
Sienna,
Nick?
he does. He always does. He's very charming, very funny, but,
He is funny, but where is this charm coming from?
we'll get there. We'll get to his
Okay,
charm.
okay.
But Sienna, Jonathan, and Vicky are the only 3 people I can think of who survive at the hand of art.
Yeah, so you see Art, he goes upstairs and the little girl's just hiding by the staircase and he goes into her brother's room and you hear him wake up, but then you just hear a lot of fucking impactful sounds and you're just like, "Fuck, this kid's getting killed." And it was fucking excessive how many chops this man did on this little boy. Like, this kid's maybe
Mhm.
what, 5, 8, whatever. His body is not that long. So, why did you need to do it that many times? I should have counted how many times.
And the sound design is so effective too, because first you're hearing like the thumping of Art's Santa boots on the stairs, and
Hmm.
the axe swing, it's almost like it's like a splat or a squash,
Mm,
I think was the
squish.
sound. Yeah, it sounded awful, man. I felt so bad for that kid. Not seeing what happened is it is so much worse, I feel like. I mean, what he could have shown us would have been awful, but
Yeah.
it was an effective sequence, that, Damien created.
Yeah, I think if he showed something or even included the kid screaming from, all the agony he was in, I don't think I would have been able to stomach that. So for him
Mhm.
just to have him, just wake up, but then all of a sudden, bam, he's pretty much dead. That was a little more tasteful, I guess. I've heard a lot of people use that term when they're describing this movie in the direction that it did go in compared to what it could have gone in.
It's still one of the most horrific scenes, not in this series. It's saying that is very difficult because this series has increasingly horrific sequences within one movie at a time, let alone the entire series. But in within just the genre of horror, it's a incredibly effective sequence and like almost a masterclass in how to begin a horror movie effectively and just giving the audience enough. But it probably would have been overload to show that kid brutalized also.
Yeah, definitely. There is a bigger detail that I do want to get into regarding the subject, but in a later scene.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we'll get to that later. But I thought it was cool just because for me personally, just watching that sequence of seeing Art the Clown downstairs, he's just looking at the tree. It just reminded me of Jack Skellington when he is dressed up as Santa trying to, take over Christmas. And then
Well, there are parallels to Art the Clown and Jack Skellington we can get into throughout the movie.
it's so cool. I just love that little detail. Then after Art's upstairs, he's mutilating the parents, which by the way too, you don't even hear the husband barely grunt at all from getting killed. He's just dead silent and his wife, you are not that deep of a sleeper to sleep through a death scene going on directly next to you. I'm sorry that this wife just sucks in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I find it fucked up how sloppy Art is with that axe too, on top of everything we've talked about, it being rusty. But man, I just felt so bad for that husband. he had to work in the morning, true, and then
Mhm.
he just didn't even see that X coming. Did he get him in the neck first, or he got him, like, almost split him in half, like, right in the
Yeah,
abdomen area?
yeah, somewhere in the torso, and then later he got him, like, in his face and everywhere else. That was so disturbing to watch. Ew.
Yeah, and it's just basically a pool of blood forming right next to
Mhm.
her. She wakes up with a bloody hand, is like, "Ah!" And then Art is just going wild, making the craziest faces. He, like, points to the axe and is like, "I'm coming for you next." And,
Mhm.
I mean, the sequence again, I wanted to say it's one of the most horrific deaths in the series, but or in the movie, but it really isn't. But he just fucking brutalizes this woman, like, really chops her up and takes her to task.
And then you just see more of him just being an enigma because he goes downstairs, he proceeds to eat these fucking thin ass cracker cookies. You hear
Mhm.
it basically be a cracker. Ugh,
Nope, not
that
Mercedes cookies.
nope, that hurt my soul seeing that and hearing that. But yeah, then he washes his dishes, he puts it away, and he's, in a happy mood like anyone would be after eating cookies. But then that scene reminded me of the movie A Christmas Story because he hears a noise and it's the little girl hiding under, like, in the cabinets under the counter, and that just reminded me of the kid Randy from that movie where he's hiding under there because he figured, the dad was gonna kill Ralphie in that part. Have you seen that movie?
What movie? A Christmas Story?
Yeah.
I have not, no.
Wow, okay. That kinda makes sense because I wasn't getting any reaction from you, so
Should we
damn.
cover it?
No, it's not a Halloween movie, or it's not a horror movie. Well, it could be. There's a gun in there, so we could potentially put
Any
that on the
movie with a
list.
gun any movie with a gun is now horror.
They have someone dress up as a witch in there for one scene, so we could, but
I like it.
yeah, that is a classic. You should definitely watch it. It plays every Christmas on Christmas Day all day.
Yeah, that's one of my mom's favorite Christmas movies. I probably should watch it eventually because she loves it so much. But I went to see White Christmas with her at the movie theater, and I didn't find that movie to be very much of a Christmas movie.
I remember you had mentioned that, but I did not even know that there was a movie coming out called White Christmas at the time, so I don't even know what it was about.
Oh no, it was an old movie that they re-released in theaters, like a
Oh, okay.
quote unquote Christmas classic, but it wasn't
Right,
very much
because I was like, that's
Christmas.
yeah, that sounds familiar, but we have all these movies that are coming out with similar titles or the same title. So yeah,
Honestly,
point
Terrifier
taken.
3 is way more of a Christmas movie than White Christmas. I won't go on any more about it, but if anyone that wants to dispute me on that, they can fucking at me, at the page, I'll respond.
Mhm. Let's get some debates going here.
Yeah. Uh, that poor little girl. It sucks that, I mean, why couldn't the mom get out of the house? I didn't catch fully why the door was so locked.
Um,
'Cause it wasn't locked before. They, like, determined that it was unlocked. That's how Art came in, but now it's, like, the most reinforced locked door in all of the country.
good point. I actually can't remember. I thought it was just her being honestly stupid and not being able to unlock the door in a time of panic, like a lot of people end up doing or technically not doing. Um, crap, I completely forgot that detail. Guys, help us out. Why couldn't she open the door? I just know her death scene after.
That kid, I mean, good hiding spot. She did give herself away, but yeah, I felt bad for her. But this whole opening sequence is a great, like, it really gets you into the movie. It's visually so well done. It's well edited. I quite enjoyed it. It's maybe the best way any of these movies have kicked off, and it might be the Christmas behind it all that's winning me over immediately. Maybe it's just seeing Art in the Santa outfit. I fucking love it, but it's a great opening.
It is, and you're just kind of on a precipice here thinking, okay, you're only going to go down from here, like downhill, because that was just such a fucked up opening scene. So, what else can Art do now? And then, even after all the shit that happens in here, what else is Art going to do post Terrifier 3? Just so many questions out there.
Part of me wonders if Art's even gonna be in Terrifier 4 that much. It We can get into that a little bit. There's some things in this movie that make me wonder if Terrifier 4 is gonna look and feel and be a completely different movie. I kind of have a feeling Damien is gonna go full Army of Darkness with this next one and just almost flip the genre a little bit.
We got to cover the Evil Dead movies because that's one of them that I haven't seen. So,
You'll get it. You haven't seen any imagery from Army of Darkness?
no, I haven't.
Oh, not even a poster? Okay, yeah, when we get into it, you'll probably see the poster and think like, "Oh, yeah, this is, very different from the other ones."
Okay. Yeah. So why do you think that though? Get into more detail on that.
So, there's a point in the movie where Sienna is having I don't know if it's a dream sequence or some kind of hallucination, but she's envisioning this demon monster right by a statue of the Virgin Mary, and this demon monster is making her like angel warrior outfit that her father created her. It's in there with a dream sequence that uh is uh it's in there with a dream sequence that involves her father giving her the artwork of the angel warrior outfit. But, yeah, watching this scene, it's this weird demon kinda constructing her suit, and I kind of got the idea so Sienna's gonna be going to hell, and again, full spoilers if I forgot to say it earlier. Sienna's gonna be going to hell to get Gabby because Gabby gets dragged into hell with Sienna's sword, so Sienna's gonna have to go down there to find her, and just that flash forward made me and that dream sequence made me feel like maybe that's what the next movie is gonna fully be, this weird demon world all the way through, and it's gonna be more mystical, more demonic, kind of like the Ninth Circle segment in the All Hallows Eve short film with all of those monsters. I feel that it might be close to that.
I could see that happening, especially because at the end of the film, sorry for kind of jumping the gun on that.
No, we
They
can
do
jump all over the place.
cool. They show just little details from religion like the crown of thorns. It was originally on what's her name, Vicky. I almost called her Vanessa. She was wearing it where she was pretending to be Sienna's aunt and uncle, just talking about her, but she was wearing it. Her face is painted now, and then she ends up placing it on Sienna. That alone was just hard to watch. Sienna's getting into that point of like desperation and despair where she sees all of her family members are dead now, or almost all of them are dead. And she's just, Art's just slapping her around, which I found very amusing. Um,
Yeah.
he fucking destroys her hands pretty much. That was disgusting to watch. And then they throw the crown of thorns on her, so she's already in pain, and then just seeing her place it on her, it looks as if she's placing it delicately on her head, but just her reaction, oh my god, it gave me an instant headache watching it.
Yeah, I at first I thought maybe I saw it wrong, but so she wasn't like pushing it down very hard on her head. I thought she was like making sure it was digging in there.
Oh, well, she probably could have been. To me, it, just looked like she just placed it on her, but yeah, she probably did, like, wiggle it around just to make sure it fit her perfectly, and dare I say, Lauren Lavera still looks stunning, covered in blood with a crown of thorns on. I'm just saying.
She almost looks hotter with the crown on, if you ask me.
Right?
Yeah, I was
Exactly.
like,
Exactly
damn,
my point.
put a fucking hat on her.
Oh man, she's amazing in here.
Yeah, she's great. And this movie really I don't know if I said this in the last one, but the last one really treats her bad, and this one treats her almost worse. They do fully destroy her hands at one point.
Mhm. And just seeing how she's trying to cope after being institutionalized for however long, um, I found it a little strange that, she was the one that was sent away. Um, and, she's dealing with a lot of trauma. So is Jonathan, but he's not dealing with it as much as she is. And you think he would because he was the one that found their mom dead in the second one. He did get some or did endure some torture from Art the Clown, not as much as Sienna, but he did witness a lot of brutality from the guy. And he was researching all the shit that Art the Clown did. So why isn't he dealing with some more trauma? He just seems like perfectly fine, and not perfectly fine. I know he does have a little relapse moment, but he seems almost, I'd say, embarrassed to have Sienna around when she does try to get in touch with him.
It seems like he's dealing with his trauma by not dealing with it almost. He's
Hmm.
shutting down, he's isolating. Honestly, he seems like the kind of kid who would eventually deal with his trauma by isolating and maybe seeking out substances.
Damn, you're just gonna do Jonathan Bogus like that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do him as bad as Art and Vicky do him
Yeah.
later on,
Very true.
but
Very true.
yeah, watching it, I was thinking, yeah, he seems like a kid who would probably eventually in college start dabbling in substances or experimenting in order to try to cope, and then eventually maybe would have some type of drug addiction, and that would be his type of coping. It would be shoving it all down and repressing it through substances because he's like isolating and shutting out this whole time. I mean, I don't mean to kind of like put him in a box, but uh, I was getting those kind of vibes from him.
I mean, his character in here, he doesn't have a lot of focal points in the movie, and that was a bit of a bummer. I wanted to see more of him in here. I wanted to see, him and Sienna kind of take on Art and Vicky together instead of her just doing it on her own. Um, and I don't know, but the parts that we did get of him, he at least is, yes, he is ignoring kind of everything, just trying to put it in the back of his mind, but he is trying to, continue onward. And again, I say again, where I'm happy he at least has a friend at school. No one's kind of
Cole.
looking at, yeah. I don't know why. I kind of like his roommate. He's stupid and he doesn't have a lot of screen time, but he's a fucking
And
idiot.
he seems like, yeah, and he seems like he actually cares about Mia.
Oh, I'll get into that bitch in a second. But I no, I like that he does seem like a caring guy, because he even is kind of looking out for Jonathan. He, I guess, invited him to whatever little party that they were supposed to go to. And when
But they were
Sienna
trying
does
to exploit him though, right?
were they?
Yeah, I think Mia wanted Cole to try to get him to get Sienna on her show or to get him on the show.
I think he was inviting Jonathan to the party just on his own, but then was going to try to convince him after his little bitch of a girlfriend was doing her thing with him to persuade him.
Mhm.
But yeah, even when Sienna went to the school to meet up with Jonathan, he hugs Jonathan. He's acting kind of like an older brother to him, being goofy. And then when his dumbass girlfriend comes along, he's like, oh shit, you know what, let me get out of here, because he knows what his girlfriend is about to do. But she
Mhm.
still just fucking makes her way over there. So tell me, Wusa, tell me, what did you think about his girlfriend, Mia? That is her name, right? Mia?
Mia, yeah, she didn't seem like she was the brightest, like her elevator didn't reach the top floor. I just because so people who take their interest in serial and serial killers and criminal investigation who take it to a weird level tend to bother me a little bit, and she's one of those people where she is taking this interest and overstepping boundaries. She's not someone who's qualified to do that either. She thinks she's a big journalist because she has a YouTube show or something like that, but she really isn't someone who's qualified to ask this person questions. She's not like a trained psychiatrist or somebody who could professionally dissect this person. All of that being said, I found her a little charming. I found a lot of the characters basically pretty charming. I don't think I really hated anybody in this movie.
I'm about to end this damn episode because I fucking hated her with a passion. Just she makes her way, just interrupts their conversation because she's basically starstruck by Sienna, and then she just goes all in on her. Yeah, I have this show and we would love to have you on there because we're so stoked about your story. Whatever. Bitch, have some fucking tact. They both lost their mother. They both or Sienna lost her friends, and you're just kind of making it seem as if she was meeting, Lauren Lavera in real life. Um, she had no fucking sympathy. She was just all for personal gain right there. No, I hated her. Characters like her is what annoys me about films, because they always, 9 times out of 10, have a character who's too fucking stupid to realize, hey, maybe I should shut up and not say everything that I'm thinking, because it can come off as offensive. But and then what was it? Even later, when she's talking to her boyfriend, she asked him, oh, do you think I was being mean, or whatever she said when she was talking to Sienna? And he basically said, yeah, he was calling her out on it. So
Yeah.
even he knew how she was. So yeah. The fact that you find her charming, I can't trust you anymore.
I found her a little charming. I think everybody had a little charm. I like too that the men in this series aren't like, at least from what I can recall, aren't like womanizing assholes. They're all kind of good guys to an extent. They're not
Mhm.
perfect. Some of them are a little scummy in their own ways, but they themselves don't really seem to be exploiting women or just in it for the sex. They seem to kind of be there and give a shit.
Mhm, exactly,
It's different
and
for horror.
it is, and even with Sienna's character, they aren't introducing a love interest for her.
Yeah.
Normally, they would have that in the first movie where they showed the final girl or who it is, and then if they don't, it's in a movie where she gets out of the institution and she's damaged, she's broken. They are trying to give her more of a purpose or whatever, and then they bring a love interest in, but they still haven't done that, which I like. So I hope they don't do that in the next film. Um, but thinking about it now, if they really had the ending the way they did, which I don't believe, they may try to bring another male character in here, but let's hope they don't take that route. I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah, I don't think there's room for a love interest in the next movie. I don't know who I am to say that, but I can't see them fitting it in. But I didn't think about that until you brought it up, and it is very Halloween. It is very Laurie Strode. She kind of reminds me a little bit of Laurie Strode mixed with Ash from the Evil Dead movies, because I have a feeling she's going to become Ash like in the next movie, and kind of is already in this. She's taking a lot of shit. She's getting the shit kicked out of her, and she's fighting these demons. I do. This is something that I really enjoy about the Terrifier movies, is that they seem like they're, and I haven't heard Damien say this about the movies, but these movies feel like they're a love letter to classic horror and classic horror iconography.
Yeah, definitely. You just see little homages here and there. I mean, the main one that I always focus on is when it which one was it? All Hallows Eve, just how Art the Clown had I keep calling him Art the Clown again. How Art had the dead lights for eyes. That's kind of
Yeah.
like, Pennywise. Um, and I love when films do that. They just find little details that they can add into their own film to honor classic horror films or just classic films in general that either inspired them or kind of made them who they are today. Doing that, it's like, I tip my hat off to you for
Yeah.
getting me this far in life.
Yeah, the intro to this movie too. This is something I just remembered now. It's very like The Shining. He even has Art has a "Here's Johnny" moment, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
silent, of course. One thing I do wanna say about Art and Mia and her fucking brutal death, this is something that I mentioned on, my other podcast on our Terrifier 3 episode, These Guys Got Juice. If you guys want, go check it out. I'm pretty proud of that episode. It's very different than this one. It's 2 people going in blind and knowing nothing about what they're watching. It's very entertaining, I think. But there's a moment where Art, after he's just brutalized Mia, he looks at her, takes off the sunglasses, then he gives her the Art look, but he's really forcing it, almost like a, this is what you wanted. This is what you came here for, right? You're a
Mhm.
fan of me. I'm giving it to you. And then he puts the sunglasses on her, and I felt like that was very well done. I fucking love Art and everything he's doing with his facial expressions, especially when he meets Santa. We don't have to talk about that right now if you want to still focus on Mia and the shower death, because we definitely can. The shower death is fucking insane.
Mhm. Yeah, I fucking had a ball with that scene just because um everyone, like I was saying before, I was not anticipating watching these films, so I was just watching spoiler reviews on them. So I kind of knew what was going to happen and I knew this was going to be the the bedroom scene of this movie. Um So once it was leading up to it, her just being so obsessive over Art's behavior when he's in the hall just eavesdropping on them, he's getting a
Mhm.
fucking kick out of what they're saying because she's like, he's such a great killer or whatever she said, and he just kind of puts his hand
Like
out there like,
like an "Aw,
"Stop."
shucks."
Yeah, yeah, "Stop. Don't make me blush." And
Yeah.
then her boyfriend's like, "Dude, you just sound like you wanna fuck the guy." And she's like, "No, I don't wanna fuck him." And then he looks so disappointed, and it's like, "Well, realistically, you do sound like it." But then she's really, getting into it. I just wanna see how it would feel, your last moments, when he is right there, right in front of you doing his thing or whatever. And it was just amusing seeing him fucking use the bathroom, which throws me off because he has all these little supernatural traits about him, yet he still has to use the bathroom, I guess when nature calls.
He pees twice in this movie, actually, and it's like dead body
Yeah.
urine too from a demon. It must smell fucking rancid.
Dehydrated. Exactly,
Yeah.
dehydrated.
I had said this on the other Terrifier 3 episode, and I was pretty proud of this statement, and I heard, Damien Leone or Leone, I'm still not sure how to pronounce it, I keep hearing it different ways, but he I heard him say this about David Howard Thornton himself, but I compared Art the Clown to Bugs Bunny. I thought to myself watching Terrifier 3, Art is very Bugs Bunny in the, "Oh, stop it. Who, me?" Or like the
Mhm.
shucks, or when he's peeing, or when he meets Santa and he's getting excited and giddy and dresses up as him. It's all very Looney Tunes and Bugs Bunny to me. Especially in this
Yeah.
movie. I fucking love him in this movie so much.
Yeah, he really amps up his character in here and just how
Mhm.
playful and silly he can be while still being a fucking brutal serial killer. And you had asked me a question about how I felt with these films. I know I'm gonna word it wrong, but how their behavior is towards women, and I said, I think that's a question for a different movie, but this was that movie that I was saving it for because, this scene, he doesn't just attack Mia, he attacks Cole too. Yeah, he attacks Cole first, but he kind of, he chops off his fingers and just leaves him kind of in a paralyzed state, basically. The guy's on the floor because his leg is cut open. But he's, slicing and dicing Mia. And while she is just in her little vegetable state right there, I wish she wasn't that chopped up at that point because she's just kind of looking at him. And yeah, that's when he looks at her forcefully, just saying, "Hey, this is what you wanted." I wish there was a moment of fear in her eyes in that moment, just instead of it being, her being afraid of him attacking her leading up to it.
Yeah, if she was alive and got a reaction before that
Mhm.
happened. But I will say, I do love her reaction when Art first bursts in there with the chainsaw. Dude, watching that, I don't think there's any music playing. It's just the sound of the chainsaw and they're
Mhm.
screaming, and
Mhm.
she's behind him and he's like his hand is chopped, but he's holding the chainsaw back. I'm like, good, thank God he's fighting back. These movies don't always have people fighting back like this. Not the Terrifier movies, but horror in general. But they're in close
Mhm.
quarters. They can't get out of there. It's fucking intense. And just Art's face, oh man, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. It's crazy. And I don't remember what she's screaming. Wish I did, but she's saying actual words and it makes the scene feel so real. I know she's screaming for help at certain points, but she's almost, I think, pleading for Cole's life in that moment too, as Art is chopping him up. It's fucking crazy, man. I am always gonna remember the not just this scene, almost every kill in this movie. I don't want to spoil our rankings, but this movie through and through has just memorable kill after memorable kill, and they're so fun and gross. It's great.
Would you like to explain how Cole meets his demise being a male and all?
Oh geez. So and what I do like about Cole when he's about to get it is he's pleading for Mia's life too. While he
Mhm.
can't do anything about it, but he's broken up that she had whatever the hell happened to her, and he can't see what happened to her, but he just knows Art this clown is done with her and he's on her way to me, so she must be fucked up right now. Cause he's like, Mia, no. And I was just
Mhm.
like, oh fuck, this is so intense. But so Art takes his chainsaw and basically, again, Bone tomahawks him. Terrifier ones him with the chainsaw from asshole and genitals, not all the way through his body, not quite like he does that woman in Terrifier 1. I will say the woman in Terrifier 1 probably had it worse and more horrific than this guy did. That chainsaw went through a lot quicker and he passed out very fast into that process.
Yeah. So, people out there
Uh,
who thought, that Art was just going after the women in these films, he's not. Look at how he killed this guy.
he gets this guy pretty bad. He gets Santa in one of the most awful ways I could think of. But when this
Mhm.
guy's getting cut in half, you can get glimpses of his balls and his genitals, like everything getting absolutely mutilated. You're kind of happy that he passed out in the middle of that, but honestly, no one else really gets that. They don't get to pass out. They live through all of these deaths in such awful ways. I do. I want to hop around a bit more
Mhm.
uh, to talk about a couple more deaths and a couple more scenes. But do you have anything else to say about Cole's death or the shower scene?
No, take us to the next death that you want to discuss.
Okay, let's get to Santa. We can touch on the Santa death right now, or the Santa scene in general. This is my
Okay.
favorite part of the movie, I think. There's a lot of Santa antics, actually, that I would like to talk about, but this in particular is probably my favorite. Art is just walking by this bar and sees Santa in the window, and fanboys out the face Art makes. He's like, "Oh my god, that's
Yeah.
Santa." I in my reading of this, Art believes that there is a Santa in this world, and Art believes that he's now come across the real Santa, and he checks the beard to make sure it's real, and the Santa tells him you can't be Santa without the beard, so that comes into play later with this guy's fate. But yeah, Art is geeking out and they must think he has some kind of disability or something because they're being really cool with this deceased demon clown coming in, not talking, gesturing wildly and freaking out. And I like that Santa is telling him, like, I'm in the suit. If he wants Santa, that's what he gets. I mean, what do you think about Art geeking out over Santa?
I found it amusing. He was just over there pointing to the decoration of Santa, just like, "Oh my god, it's you! It's really you!" So I thought that was adorable. I'm not gonna lie. He was so hyped up, and then I agree. I like the fact that the guy who plays Santa, he's still kind of going along with it because I hate in movies when they have they're mainly children's movies where the kid they're being nosy and they're trying to find Santa behind, the employee door or wherever they're at. And the person playing them is on the phone yelling at, their boss and agent, whoever, and then they rip off their beard and their hat, and they're just an old grumpy drunk, and it just, kills the whole illusion for the kid. So at least this guy, he goes along with it. Not like, why do I keep forgetting her name? Ellie in the second one? Was it Ellie?
Maybe, possibly.
Wow. I'm sorry, guys. I failed you on these names. But
That
the
was a
girl
long
from
time
the
ago.
it was the girl from the bedroom scene. She was being so mean to Art. He was just trick or treating. He wanted candy, and she's like being so dismissive. No, you're too old for that. Get out of here. Or this guy, he's much older than Art. Well, maybe, who knows? But he's still going along with it, and trying to keep this guy in high spirits. I respect that about this Santa Claus.
Yeah, he tells him just like when I played Elvis, but he gets Santa. I'm in the outfit, he gets Santa. One detail I find kind of funny is when Art rushes in out of excitement, he knocks these two women over that are leaving, and one of them is like, "Hey, you fucking racist." And I just thought that was a nice thing to call him. I rewound it like 3 times just to hear it over and over. I was delighted by someone calling Art racist. I don't know how he's only killed one person of color as far as I know. I'm not too sure, but
I think so, yeah.
yeah, calling Art race no, 2 actually at this point. One at the beginning of this and one in Terrifier 2, but I appreciate
Not true.
someone calling Art out on it finally. He's had it he's had it coming. But
Very true.
these other 2 guys in the bar, one of them's named Smoke, I think. Uh, Eddie and Smokey, yeah. They both get let off the hook pretty easily. I mean, Eddie gets shot in the neck and bleeds out, but that's pretty easy to not that bad for Art. And then Smokey just gets a bullet in the head and dies immediately. Santa, the guy who's the nicest one to him in that interaction, the only time he really gets pissed is when Art pees on him, and yeah, rightfully so. That piss is probably rancid. He but Art gives Santa the worst treatment ever. He takes his suit, and this guy bargaining with Art. Nice touch. I really enjoyed his acting, him trying to reason with him. Say, "You want the hat? Is where did this situation go wrong, buddy? Do you want the hat? You and I are in the same business, Clowny." He keeps calling him Clowny in this situation, and then we cut to Art is in the Santa outfit, and this guy's taped up to the chair. He's bound to a chair, and Art takes this liquid nitrogen that he was testing on rats earlier, freezes his whole body, and just starts shattering all of him while this dude's alive. He shatters his legs, his arms, his hands. It almost looks like cherry pie from like McDonald's or some fast food
Ew.
place. Yeah, pouring out. That's what I thought. I'm like, it looks like pie.
Ew, ew.
I was like, I could eat that probably. It looks
Yeah, that's a good
delicious.
comparison. Very good comparison.
But when he shatters the dude's face and Art rips his beard off because you need the beard to be Santa, it can't be Santa without the beard. The guy shouldn't have said that. Maybe he wouldn't have gotten frozen as his death. But Art shatters his face. The guy's eyes still moving. He's still alive, and Art just completely, just shatters this guy to nothing. And it's so intense, and I feel bad for him. But that's when, as dictated in Tim Allen's The Santa Claus, Art has now become Santa in this moment.
You see, at least Jack Skellington, when he was trying to become Santa, he wanted Santa Claus to be taken care of by little Oogie Boogie boys. And they fucking kidnap the guy. But it's funny because he being, nice and cordial with him. But then he's like, oh, wait. let me take your hat, and then just lets them fucking take him wherever. He doesn't specify what to do. He just wants them to take care of them. So he didn't kill this guy, whereas Art just like loves the guy, fanboys all over him, and then fucking ices him. That, oh god. I was thinking like, wow, that has to fucking hurt. But my husband was like, well, he probably doesn't feel his legs because they were frozen, which is very true, but still so uncomfortable to watch. Ugh, it was shattering.
Yeah, it's again, I almost said one of the worst things I could have watched. In any other movie, that would be the case. This would be the moment we talk about, but this is fucking softball for Terrifier 3, I guess. It is pretty horrific though. I feel bad for him. The Him and Jack Skellington do aspire to the same things though. They want to be Santa and they love the spirit of Christmas. And for that, I admire Art. If his goal in all of this was just to become Santa, is he any worse than Jack Skellington?
Whoa. What are you trying to say about Jack Skellington right now?
Are the crimes of Jack Skellington more forgivable than the crimes of Art the Clown?
Of course they are.
I'm pretty sure they're
Yes.
both felonies that they're committing.
Yeah, I mean, there were some houses that he dropped some questionable presents in. There was a snake that was eating a tree, so it could have potentially have eaten the family in there. But
Mhm.
they don't show that. They don't show that. They show a little Jack in the Box chasing a kid, but the kid was a bit hefty if I'm remembering it correctly.
I
So they were just exercising.
Same argument could be made for Art the Clown, man. We don't know if he killed those kids at the beginning. They didn't show it. He could have just he could have given him a toy snake.
Very true. Yeah, very true. But he had a weapon, and then the weapon was bloody. Jack Skellington, he just dropped those presents in and then dipped off. He had all these other houses to go to. Whereas Art, he only went to one.
But Art commits to his women. He's with Vicky through all of these movies. Jack doesn't give a fuck about Sally in those movies. Jack, he doesn't know how to treat women. He just cast her off to the side like, I don't care. You could be a slave. Who cares?
Oh, damn. Let's not go that far. He's just oblivious to Sally's crush on him. I didn't fucking know if any guy liked me when they did in high school. If a guy liked me, I did not know unless they told me. And it would actually be funny because if my mom would pick me up from school and I was staying for ROTC practice or doing whatever, she would see someone and say, that guy's staring at you. I think they like you. I'm like, you don't know that. Like, no, they don't. No, they don't. And then years later, I find out that they did. I'm like, oh, well, oops. How was I supposed to know? But yeah, he's just oblivious. You can't blame Jack Skellington for wanting to focus on a career choice that he was making in that movie.
Hey, Art took Vicky with him on his rise to the top. Art was thinking, I have career moves I want to make. I want to be Santa. And Vicky, you can be my Mrs. Claus. Art is ride or die. Art and Vicky, they are Dom and Letty. They are, I'm trying to think of other great cinematic couples. They are Han Solo and Leia. I'm pretty sure they didn't last. They break up at a certain point. Spoilers for Star Wars. um they're among the great cinematic couples, even though I didn't list any of them.
I love how dedicated you are to try to prove this point to me.
Yeah. Who are some couples? Help me out here.
I mean, this just shows that you don't need someone. No, let me not say that. That's going to come off
They're
so
Chucky
bad
and
right now.
Tiffany. Say it.
No, no, I don't want to make a mean comment right now. But I mean, look at Tiffany's demise. They didn't have a happy ending there.
until they did, spoilers for the Charles movies, the Chucky movies. Uh, Jennifer Tilly comes back around. You know, they're having a little lesbian relationship now. Chucky and Tiffany.
Yeah, but if you think about it, Jack Skellington does end up with Sally at the end. So,
Eh, it's there's no longevity
dude,
there.
shut up. Shut up. Don't diss my movie. That is my movie through and fucking through. You cannot change my mind on that. Anyway, back to Terrifier 3. So, I want to get into the mall scene where
Yeah,
yeah, so where
this
Art
is one of the
goes.
best parts of the movie.
So Art, he's doing his thing as Santa, the real Santa, well, the real actor Santa that they've hired for the mall, takes a break, goes on lunch, and Art takes his place in Santa's throne up there. And I just found it funny that none of these parents who let their kids go up there willingly gave a shit that this Santa Claus has paint on his face. That should have been the biggest indicator that something was wrong right there.
They didn't notice
So
because they were too busy on their phones, like
mhm.
parents these days, these millennial parents all on their phones. It was social commentary.
It was, and yeah, they were very negligent. I that just oh god, it drives me crazy when I see a parent walking with their child who is basically a toddler and they're just too busy on their phone and their kid is walking behind them, not in front of them, next to them, holding their hand or anything. They're behind them, and it's just like someone could easily kidnap this kid. I could easily go grab this kid, as bad as that sounds, but it's like, you're not fucking paying attention. Pay attention to your kid right there. Jeez. These people, they didn't care. They just let their fucking kid go up, see Santa. He could have gave them, a creepy tape that had porn on it or just a snuff film as a present, but no,
Yeah,
no one cared. No one cared at all.
he he gave some of them pretty normal toys. One of the kids got a bomb. That's not that chill.
No,
But
no,
one of
definitely
them
not.
got a doll.
Sucks to be the kid who got the bomb
Dude,
there.
Dude, security? That mall security sucks. That security guy comes up to Art and is like, "All right, buddy, let's get out of here." Walks him maybe 30 feet away and then just leaves him there. Doesn't escort him out of the mall, not into the parking lot, just a little bit away within still like view of the of the Santa chair.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was pathetic. Even when the security guy came up to and what was he, an elf or something, he was just telling the security guy that's not our Santa. And when security's walking up, you see the elf kind of like hitting his fist like, yeah, go get him or something. You're not even
Mhm.
going to do anything about it. And
No,
oh my
he's
god, that
scared. He says he's scared.
exactly. So that I just found that so stupid and funny. But there was a lot of issues with this scene because the kid with the bomb, it blows up and all of these kids and their parents, everyone in that vicinity, they get killed. Um
It felt very Jingle All the Way, I'm not gonna lie.
explain that please.
'Cause there's a bomb that they have in Jingle
Oh yeah,
Sinbad's
duh,
character
duh.
keeps saying he has a
Duh.
bomb.
I don't know why. I was thinking of the stupid their fucking ghetto factory where all the little Santas are there and they got into
Oh,
that big fight and that midget was
no, they
there.
blow up like
But
a radio station.
they do, yeah. I forgot about that part. That I love that movie.
I know,
I
that
love
movie
that movie too.
rules, man. This and Jingle All the Way and Terrifier 3 are, like, the 2 best Christmas movies, maybe.
We're bringing up a lot of Christmas movies for a horror podcast. We gotta
It's
stop
a
this. Let's
Christmas episode. Said Merry Christmas, ho ho ho, did the full thing. You and I sang Silent Night, Deadly Night, or whatever. It's not. That's not the name of the song. You and I sing Silent Night, Holy Night.
Silently Deadly Night.
Yeah, you and I watched
um,
Silent Night, Deadly Night. We could cover that. That's a horror movie. Yeah,
that is a good
uh,
ass movie.
we'll have to remember that.
But yeah, I know a lot of people they didn't like this film because of this scene. They were saying, "Oh, Damien Leone went too far with that. That was wrong. All this stupid shit towards kids and, this death scene here." But he doesn't show it. He shows maybe the aftermath of it or gives some
Yeah.
gruesome sound effects, but he doesn't show it. So,
The aftermath is very fucked up. I could get why people may be sensitive about this because it's essentially art is committing an act of terrorism on American soil and killing a bunch of children in the process. It, I don't know if there's any real life events that v- mirror this, but this feels like something that could happen in real life. But guys, it's a movie. You gotta chill out. This is maybe one of the more tame things that they've done in this franchise.
yeah, I was watching I reference this guy a lot, Cody Leach. He was talking about the film and he was saying, this is not the first film where they are including a death scene of a child. And he referenced Stephen King's It because in that movie they show the infamous scene of Georgie getting his arm basically torn off and then killed by Pennywise in the sewer. And then even the one part in the beginning where there's a little girl, she's on a tricycle outside right in her yard, and Pennywise is just hiding in their laundry that's hanging out there. That was the scene that originally scared the hell out of me with that movie because of how Tim Curry's face was in there. But that was a death scene in there, and a lot of people like the movie It, and they didn't go too crazy on that scene as well as all these other movies. So why is it this one that makes it such an issue? Go to hell, people.
Yeah, in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Anakin Skywalker slaughters a whole bunch of children off screen, and that's in a movie that made like hundreds of millions of dollars potentially. Hobo with a Shotgun, they burn a whole bus full of kids alive in that movie.
And
There's
also, Child's Play. You have
Child's
a
Play.
fucking guy performing a voodoo ritual to transfer his soul into a doll and then befriends a little boy and wants to fucking take over his body. So uh, he's gonna get killed pretty much. And that whole fucking series is him trying to follow him and kill him pretty much. So why is this any different?
Yeah, kids dying in movies. It happens, it's just something we got to get used to, folks.
Guys, what do you think? Are you against this film and how these kids met their fate in here? Or were you on board with, how it was presented? Let us know. Let us know on our Instagram page, morbid underscore curiosities underscore pod. Rate us 5 stars as well. Let us know what you think.
I will say one of my favorite horror movies of all time, Doctor Sleep. I'm not too sure if you've seen it. That
Mm-mm.
has some kid moments that did actually upset me. There's two moments in particular in that movie that we'll get into whenever we inevitably cover Doctor Sleep. I intend on working that in somehow through some type of miniseries or
Mm-hmm.
season. Yeah, sometimes it does really hit me hard, but I don't think they should not be in the movies though.
Yeah, it's There are scenes from other movies, I can't really think of them off the top of my head, but, children are getting abused and, they're showing some, point of view of it. I cannot stand watching those types of movies. What was it? I think it's called Bastard Out of Carolina. This girl, she is getting sexually assaulted um by her mom's boyfriend throughout the entire film, and the mom only sees him pretty much abusing her, but doesn't fucking leave him. And other people find out, and this girl basically never gets help. But you see just like him hitting her in some scenes, you just know what's going on. That was fucking hard to watch. This movie, I didn't leave with that feeling with the death scenes involving the children here. Maybe I did in the beginning, just not with the mall scene, just because of how it was presented.
Yeah, the beginning was a lot more intimate and pretty upsetting. The explosion is pretty quick. That's what you can at least say. It's one of Art's
Mhm.
more humane killings was that explosion. That's why it feels kind of softball. It is kind of funny to me that Art is a terrorist now.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's still driving in this fucking movie. And it does remind me of, like you were saying, Halloween, where Michael Myers is just driving around doing his thing over there. Um, and I have to just say, I can't wait for when we cover the Halloween films because those are so near and dear to my heart. I just have to say it.
I know it's going to be a special moment when we fully decide to pull the trigger and cover the Halloween movies. I feel like that is going to be a mutual decision we're going to need to come towards because there's a lot. That might be one of our longest series that we cover. Because if we do Halloweens, I'd like to do the zombies and the David Gordon Greens in there.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we have to do all of them. No, I'm not a fan of all of them. Even in like the original franchise, I'm not a fan of all of them, but we have to go through all of them. So that's going to be a journey and it's going to be fun as fucking hell. Let's go.
I know. I'm so stoked for when we get to the point of eventually covering Halloween. And guys, what we've got coming up next too. We were just talking about more series to cover in the future. We've got two more locked in, and near the end of this episode, we're going to reveal what we're going to be doing going forward for the next couple of weeks. But yeah, man, we got some cool ones lined up.
It's gonna be great, guys. Go back, listen to our earlier episodes. You don't necessarily have to, um, watch the first or listen to the first episode to kind of listen to these ones. You can go in order, however you want to do it. Just keep up with them because, yeah, we're gonna start introducing some good films in there. So you want to be here for that.
Yeah, make sure you check out our whole back catalog. Before we fully start to wrap up the episode, I do want to talk about a another kill that really fucked with me, and I kind of want to tackle the end a little bit so we can
Okay.
hit both of these at once. But Sienna's aunt, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but her death is one that I couldn't watch actually. I think both times. I watched it so I saw Terrifier 3 in theaters when it came out, and I did watch it fully in theaters because I remembered in detail everything that happened, so I felt comfortable looking away on this rewatch. But she's strapped to a chair. She thinks that Gabby is dead, but it gets revealed that it's Jonathan and Gabby's alive. And she basically Vicky takes a big tube. I don't know if it's glass or whatever, but she takes a giant tube and shoves it in her throat. And then it's so gross. Blood is spewing out some like white liquid, whether it's pus or vomit,
Mm.
is coming out, and Art's hammering it in, just destroying her throat. And they put rats in there, make them run down with fire. slit her throat, the rats come out. It's fucking vile. It's upsetting. She's alive throughout all of this. It's one of the deaths where I actually thought people say they took it too far with the kids, what you were just telling me. I was thinking that with this death. I was thinking they took it too far. This is one of the most mean and horrific deaths I could imagine. You're putting live animals inside of this person while you're killing them. And yeah, this is the one I'm pretty sure that made me gag. It was absolutely disgusting. Uh, did you love it? Do you feel like she deserved it?
Yeah, no, of course not. I think her name was Jess in the film. She wasn't a character that I could say I liked. Yeah, they showed her a little bit, but she wasn't a big character in here, so it's not like I was attached to her. I think I was more a attached, you could say, to Gabby, the little girl in here, because they do show her more. They give her more of a personality compared to her mom. But no, her death was disgusting. And it's crazy because normally in horror movies, when they are bringing an animal in, whether it's just to have an animal in there or they decide to kill it off, it's a dog 9 times out of 10, but in this one, they're rodents. You have a possum, you have rats. Ew, why do we have to have these nasty things in here? And that just adds to the discomfort you feel in these movies. It's already gross and gruesome, but now you're just adding these fucking animals that no one likes. Almost everyone is grossed out by rats. So no one wants to see them. Unless you're a fan of them, no one wants to touch them. But you have a fucking death scene where you are just forcing them down this woman's throat. And then they cut her fucking neck and they come out.
Yeah.
Ew. Oh,
Awful. Awful stuff here. It
so gross.
it's maybe the one death in the movie where I probably could have gone without, now that I'm thinking about it. It's a lot. It's almost too much.
No, it definitely is a lot. And the one death scene that I didn't like was Jonathan's because we don't see it. So
Yeah,
you
dies off
they
screen.
yeah, they just show a skull that's all fucked up and then they put Jonathan's glasses on it, so they're basically telling Sienna, "Yeah, we killed him." I don't believe that he's dead. That I feel like he's too big of a character to have him die off screen. They kill the uncle and they decapitate him and they have him, pinned up like a cross on the wall, but they have his head as a star on the Christmas tree. That was weird. I didn't really care that we didn't get to see that, but it's like you can't do that to a main character, so I don't believe he's dead. I think they're just fucking with her.
Yeah, that could have been Cole's or Mia's skull that was in that cage with those rats.
Definitely. I feel like they're gonna bring back Jonathan in some way.
I had that feeling too. I was convinced that he was dead the first time, but it I mean, that's usually a sign in these movies. You kill the character off screen. If you don't see a body, then they're probably alive. You're using that as a way to maybe bring them back if narratively it's interesting.
Yeah, very true. The part that was really gross to me was when Art and Sienna they're fighting, battling it out to the death, and he fucking shoves her head
Mhm.
in her uncle's split down in half stomach. And he's just like, shoving her all in there. And oh my God, that was so disgusting.
I really love the shot leading up to him smashing her face in there. It's like Sienna I mean, you guys can watch it. I don't need to describe it, but it just from her on the ground, a downward angle shooting like aiming at her, and she gets up, and then Art grabs her by the neck, and it's so cool. it's this whole chainsaw sword fight between Sienna and Art is I found it exhilarating. It's one of the most exciting and energetic and cool parts of the whole series. I was sitting there just speechless watching it this time. It shows that Damien is very good at directing action too. It's very well edited, very well shot. I It must have been very difficult. I think it was probably a long process shooting it. I wish I got to listen to the commentary for this one, but god damn it, that chainsaw sword fight is so cool. It's awesome. I'm wondering, I hope we get more of that. I love these little battles that people have with art. They always excite me, and this one is the best. This is kind of why this movie is projected like to the fucking top for me.
So I have a different opinion.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like the fact that, Sienna has her sword and Art's weapon of choice is a chainsaw for their final battle, but I felt like this scene was a little too long for my liking. I love when they have her, tied up in the chair, taped up, and he's just walking back and forth, slapping the fuck out of her head. He slapped her 50 ways from fucking Sunday. It was
That was kind
hilarious.
of funny.
It was. Um, but just them going at it, taking forever for her to get the sword itself with Vicky, and then I just don't like Vicky's character. I No, they should have just stuck with the little pale girl. But then when you have Sienna and Art fighting, I don't know. I like the fight scene more in the second one. I felt that one was a little long too, but at least, Jonathan was in there and he was getting attacked as well. They're not really attacking Gabby. They already killed off Aunt Jess, and it's just him and Sienna going at it for a long time. So I felt like this scene was a little too long. It was good, but I think it could have been shortened a little bit.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I was fully on board with this. I kind of agree with you. The events leading up to the fight, I was thinking, man, this is dragging a little bit. Um, but yeah, I found that battle just so exciting. It really worked for me.
I like the final part where Sienna stabs him with her sword and his fucking eyes turn pure white. That
Mhm.
was terrifying.
Yeah. And he's like biting in her direction too. And that's when this like portal to hell, or what was the portal to the clown cafe in the last movie, opens up. And it's kind of funny. Sienna, the only object she thinks to grab is the
Oh my
sword. I
god.
was just like, I mean, I understand your cousin's in peril, but you may want to find something else that is easier for you to grab onto as well. But
Exactly.
watching it this time, I realized that it was just a way for the sister or the cousin to be able to go to hell or this demon realm and have the sword with her, because the cousin has the sword at the end of this altercation.
You know what? That's a good point because that scene annoyed me because her fucking hands pretty much look like ground beef when they were smashing them when she was tied up. So they're pretty fucked up. And you see she's struggling to open her present with the sword in it, but then when when Gabby runs up to her, she kind of grabs her head, so she still has full mobility of her hands. And then when Gabby is just hanging on while she's falling into the portal, I was just thinking, why the fuck didn't she just grab some Christmas lights to hand over to Gabby? That would have been a lot easier. You're just slicing your hands up even more. But yeah, that makes sense. There was a way for Gabby to bring the sword to hell with her. So we'll
Yeah,
see what
that way she
happens.
can survive, I assume, or maybe she becomes the warrior angel that Sienna's dad has been drawing. Maybe it's not Sienna who becomes that.
Ooh, the plot thickens.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if these movies are going to do weird stuff with time. It seemed like All Hallows Eve a little bit had some weird time stuff with the phone call that's made at the end of the movie and it being the phone call from the movie that they were watching. I'm wondering if there's going to be some weird time shenanigans when they go into this demon pit. I hope they take it to some really wild and wacky places with this one. There is a something they do at the end of the movie that I did enjoy a little bit. I wonder if it has any actual meaning or if it's just an Easter egg, but Art basically escapes and ends up on a bus at the end of this movie. This was Damien Leone's original conception for the Ninth Circle. It takes place at a train station, but he wanted it to take place on a bus, I'm pretty sure. And Art gets on, sits right down, and there's a lady reading a book called The Ninth Circle by Rosemary Cassiavetti, I think. I don't know who that is. I paused the TV. I couldn't really read the description. It was the TV I was watching it on gets fuzzy whenever I pause it. It's kind of annoying, but then he pulls out a little honker, honks the horn, and it's Terrifier Christmas starts playing. That's a wrap on this picture.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool little Easter egg that he included in there. I didn't even think to see if the author of that book was anyone related to the film. Guys, if she is, let us know. But yeah, watch in the second one, the fourth one. Yeah, Gabby's in hell. She's, using the sword to her advantage. Hopefully meets up with Jonathan and finds a way to save them, but yeah, I can't wait for this next one to come out because I want to see more art. I want this world to, amp up the brutality in this next one because it always seems to do that with the following films. So I'm psyched.
Me too. I have no idea what Terrifier 4 is going to look like. I listened to Damien Leone on the Inside of You podcast recently
Oh yeah.
in hopes that he would give some details about it, but he really doesn't talk about that or his next projects. But I'm excited. He is officially wrapping it up after Terrifier 4, even though there's a letterbox page for Terrifier 5. He confirmed he wants to finish it at 4 and go on and do other things. I don't know if I think I heard something about him working with Sam Raimi's production company on a movie coming up, so that's pretty exciting. One final thing I want to mention about the movie. In the credits, there's a song Chrissy by Dream Kid that plays. I love that song choice. Earlier on in the movie, Sienna is having a bonding moment with Gabby. There's a lot of heart to it. I really enjoy it. And they're playing this like electronic pop rock type of music in the background. And all of these song choices are supposed to represent the kind of music that Sienna's into, and I dig her music choice. It's very laid back, and using that, having the music be kind of diegetic, it adds a nice vibe to this world. I really dig it.
Yeah, definitely. Any final thoughts on the film before we go into our rankings?
No, I think I'll get my final thoughts out when we do our rankings.
All right, cool. So, start us off with our rankings. Guys, we are going to rank our likings for the Terrifier films because this is the last film for the time being in the franchise. So, we might as well get our rankings out now. So, what is your least favorite film in this franchise?
Yeah, I can basically from least favorite to favorite, it goes in release order. All Hallows Eve, Terrifier, Terrifier 2, then Terrifier 3. Terrifier 3 is up top for me. It's my favorite. I think it's the Christmas element adds so much to it for me. I love a Christmas movie. I love the season. I love a Christmas horror movie. It's so rare to get one that's actually like working for me and doesn't feel cheesy and isn't too comedic. I really I dug this. This and like Black Christmas maybe are my two favorite Christmas horror movies. I haven't really analyzed that statement, but yeah, Terrifier 3 takes it all. This movie rules. That chainsaw sequence actually is probably what projects it to the top for me because of, like I said, how exhilarating I had found it. The kills in Terrifier 3 are relentless, memorable, fun. Art is fun and the funniest I think he's ever been. I really enjoyed my time with this franchise, but yeah, I think they've been getting better as they've been coming out, and I'm really excited to see Terrifier 4. I hope that it's better than Terrifier 3. At least in my opinion, they keep getting better. So, yeah,
Nice, nice. My ranking is a little different from yours. So,
nice.
my ranking from least favorite to top favorite is Terrifier, All Hallows Eve,
Oh.
Terrifier 3, and Terrifier 2 is my favorite one.
Okay, I want to hear Terrifier 2 being your favorite doesn't fully surprise me. I want to hear your bottom two, having Terrifier at the bottom and All Hallows Eve third. I find that very surprising. I respect the hell out of it though. All Hallows Eve. So you did like enjoy that movie a decent amount, it seems.
I enjoyed it more than Terrifier. Terrifier had no fucking plot. The two main characters in there that we're supposed to follow annoy the fuck out of me because of how stupid they are and the dumbass choices that they make throughout the film. Um, and yeah, it was just mainly brutality, no storyline to follow along with. And I don't like that in films. I want there to be a storyline for me to latch onto or relate to. Those I find to be more of the, meaningful, impactful films. Um, with All Hallows Eve, yes, it was a bunch of stories put into one, an anthology, but I like just the whole background of it. I forgot the word that you used to describe it, but
The
how it's
framing.
framing, yes. You have a babysitter with these two kids. They have a film. They're watching it throughout the movie, and then she continues to watch it by herself. And then little by little, it's coming to life in her reality. I like the train station scene just because I can relate to it. And then the last segment of the film where that girl is at the gas station. It's just so fucking creepy to think about. So I enjoyed those two sections in there. So that definitely gave it a higher place for me compared to Terrifier. Um,
Can you
wh-
see yourself rewatching All Hallows Eve ever?
I can, yeah. If it's on TV, I'll watch it. I
I don't
may
know if
be
it'll
like,
ever be on TV.
I know, but if it was, if I saw it just, in my cabinet, I'll be like, "Yeah, I could watch it." I'll put it on as, like, background noise. Maybe I'll fast forward certain scenes, but, I could probably rewatch it. I might not do it frequently, but I could probably rewatch it once in a while. Yeah, and then going to, my top favorite, just Sienna being introduced in Terrifier 2, you get a little bit of background of their family, well, a big background of their family, but a little bit of a backstory on, her angel warrior costume, her just putting it together, all the characters in there. It was a solid film for me, one that I did not expect that I would really like. I have been rewatching it ever since I actually did watch it a few months ago. So once we were covering the movie for the podcast, I was just fully ready on it because I watched it so many times. But it's beautifully made. I love her character. I love all those characters in there, and I think just with Terrifier 3, I would say mainly because of how choppy it feels. That's why I like Terrifier 2 more. I think Terrifier 2 just flows consecutively throughout the film, and this one, it goes from person to person. It doesn't have the fluidity like 2 does. So, um, yeah, I like, how, even though Sienna is pretty damaged in part 2, she holds herself together, and in this one she's more damaged, and that's coming to the surface a lot. But I think if part 4 delivers the way I'm anticipating, I think I'll like her character more in there. But I just wasn't as much of a fan of her character in here compared to how I was in part 2. Sorry, that was a mouthful, but yeah, those are my rankings.
No, that was very well put. I respect the rankings. I do. For some reason, I thought we might have a similar ranking, and 2 and 3 might just be the things that are a little different, but I like it. I dig it a lot. Very good. Very cool. What's your guys' favorite Terrifier movie? I feel like it is really between 2 and 3.
Yeah, the ones that go together in this franchise, it's a battle on which one is the best. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people probably like part 3 more than part 2.
And 2 and 3 really have I mean, there are similarities to it, but they really have different vibes. There's different things happening in each movie. I you really can't both movies really can have their own like, no, this is my favorite. No, this is my favorite. I wonder what 4 is going to do. I really hope that 4 is an undeniable, we all view this as the best. It's a good closer, and we don't want any more Terrifiers unless the creator wants to give us more.
Yeah, and I think that's how it'll be. They will find a way to seal it all in. Hopefully, they find a way to seal it all in, and they find a good way to end it, because there are so many films out there that are not just horror films, but so many films that have a solid ending. You think, wow, that there's nowhere else to go from here. But then they end up pushing out a sequel or an extra film in that franchise. And it bothers me so much, because you're kind of thinking, great, we get to jump back into this world again, but we didn't have to. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I just want it to be part 4 and then let that be it.
That's what's awful about this franchise world that we live in. Movie series franchises, seemingly even TV seasons sometimes, never end on a good note. We never end franchises on a good movie. I say never. There are ways I could be proven wrong. We usually don't end them on a good movie. We end them when they're starting to get bad and they're not making as much money anymore. But hopefully, Terrifier is something where it's in the hands of the creator. He hasn't sold it. So I think when he's done, he'll walk away and he'll be done unless, this is always another thing. No, this is another thing that happens are sometimes directors, creatives, their careers don't always go that great. They put out movies that aren't too well received, so they go back and make a sequel to something that they know works and has a built-in fan base. That's a possibility. Let's hope that doesn't happen, and we just get whatever serves this narrative.
Yeah, you know, only only time will tell what happens with Art and Sienna. So, let's root for the best here. But do you want to give the listeners the sneak peek, or you know, the secret on what our next season is going to be about?
The big reveal. Ooh. Yeah,
Reveal. Yes,
guys.
I'm sorry. I can't talk. Oh, that's embarrassing. Reveal. Big
Uh,
reveal.
it's late, and If you want me to cut this out, I will, but you're also about to put your body through a lot tomorrow, so conserve as much energy as you can. You don't need to remember words. Words aren't important.
Yeah, that's what I have you for. You have the big words, and I just have the little crayons writing my notes in here.
I'll feed you synonyms in this little chat that we have if you ever need them.
Watch, I would say it at the wrong time. um, but yes, we're trying to grow here, guys. Just bear with us. But yes, do the big reveal for us, Nick.
So now that we're all done with Terrifier, guys, get ready. Next week, we start a relatively short season, but you guys are going to love it. I've already told people in my personal life that we're covering these movies, and it seems like it might be enough to get them listening to the podcast. But we're going to be covering the two Sinister movies coming up. So the next 2 weeks, you're going to be getting Sinister 1 and then Sinister 2 to follow. I'm fucking excited. I have only seen Sinister once and in the theaters, never seen Sinister 2. I have, you know, a specific experience and relationship to Sinister that I'll get into on the episode, but I'm excited to watch these. We're going to be working with maybe like A-list actors for the first time in this series. I mean, I can't speak for Psycho, but Ethan Hawke, my boy Ethan Hawke is going to be in this. Oh,
Ye-
Captain, my Captain himself.
oh my god. What was that? What was that movie from? Or what was that line
Dead
from?
Poets Society.
That was it, okay. Yeah, my husband actually had me watch that not that long ago, and again, another movie where, I'm tearing up. I'm like, "Why are you having me watch these films?"
Oh,
I'm
man.
left such in a bad place after those films.
If you want a good Ethan Hawke movie, and I'm definitely gonna talk about this on the Sinister episodes, listeners, you better be fucking damned if you don't think I'm gonna talk about this. The Before trilogy, guys, the Richard Linklater trilogy, with him and Julie Depley, I think is how you say her last name. Fantastic, fantastic trilogy of just a romance spanning the course of 18 years. I think it's 18.
Yeah, feel free to get into that because I have never heard of that, so
Oh man, if you want just sad yet uplifting and real love stories about the passage of time and how, upsetting time can be to us, and just the tragedy of life and our circumstances, then I don't know. It's a very beautiful series of movies. So guys, we're covering those two as well as the Sinisters.
so what you're saying is you wanna make me cry because you want me to watch a movie that's going to make me cry.
No, I want you to watch 3 movies that are going to make you
Oh,
cry.
you're wow. Thank you for being specific with that. Um, yeah, maybe I'll pass on that. I don't really like to cry with films, but it happens so
Consider it.
much. I'm such a baby. Okay, I'll consider it.
Consider it. Before Sunrise, start with that. One of my favorite movies. And then it's Before Sunset and then Before Midnight. Great trilogy. But guys, it's Sinister next week. We're doing it. I say this a lot, but we're finally doing it. You guys have been clamoring for it. All the Sinister heads, you guys have been asking, where's Ooga Booga? You've been talking about him since episode 2 and 3. Where's Ooga Booga? Well, you guys are getting him. Calm down. You're getting him.
Ooga Booga is with Crash Bandicoot. This is
Yeah.
Mr. Boogie.
Yes.
That was great. That was great. But that could also be mistaken for you've seen Superstar, right?
I have, yes.
Yeah, I was gonna
We
say, I
might
feel
have
like I
talked
asked
about
you
this on
that.
the podcast.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I asked you that, but oh yeah, duh. That I remember why I brought it up. But no, it was the part where the grandmother she's trying to teach the Molly Shannon and her classmates how to dance, and she is saying, "Okay, now when I say booga booga, you booga booga." So that's kind of what I thought of too. But yes, it is Mr. Boogie.
Okay, I don't think you talked about that on the podcast, actually.
I
You
didn't talk
talked
about that scene. I talked about a different scene. Let's not go back to that scene. But apparently, because I rectified that whole situation, that's my husband's favorite episode now.
hell yeah. Shout out to your husband.
Woo.
Hope hopefully he's ready for the ooga booga talk. Man, I forgot. These are gonna be off the rails. You're gonna hate me more than the Charles shit.
I'm excited for
Yeah,
it because
Mr.
I love the Sinister movie. Well, the first one. I don't love the second one, but we'll get into that more later. So, yeah, guys, stay tuned.
is Great Googly Moogly in the Sinister 2.
We've been morbid curiosities, guys. Tune in for
Yeah.
next week's episode.